commentaries from the modern guys all the way back as far as I could go. As far as I could go. Started looking at Romans 3:23. A man could literally spend a lifetime studying that passage and not come to grips with what it's really saying. That's why I don't want you jumping past this thing of, I'm a sinner. Jesus died. Now let's go on to the real stuff. And I can't even tell you, you need to nail these two things down first, because you're not going to be able to. But if you recognize them as foundational and understanding them as of utmost importance, then things are going to change in your life. Now, John Gill, that is God's love, did not arise from any loveliness in them, in the sinner, or from any love in them to him, nor from any works of righteousness done by them, but from his own sovereign will and pleasure. It pleased God to love you. It pleased God to save you. Because in doing those two things, he would do the greatest of works. Now, let's think about that. You must have been something if the greatest, most difficult thing that's ever occurred in the history of history is God loved you. If you were that difficult to love, if it's so amazing that God loved you, then what were you? I can remember I've had so many people say, your wife just must be something special to be married to a guy like you. Do you see what they're saying? In order to say her love is really, really special, they're actually saying, dude, you are terribly flawed. If God's love is great, what does that say about us? If it had to be great, if it had to be unconditional, if it had to be undeserved, then what does that say about us? But we turn that back around. If we teach the depravity of man, if we teach the sinfulness of man, how much will that exalt the love of God? Now, let's go to one of my favorite passages in the Scriptures. I tell you what, let's take a few-minute break here right now, and we'll come back in. It's 5 till 7. We'll come back in at 5 after, and we'll start looking at Deuteronomy chapter 7, and one of my favorite passages in all